Hello to you all, and thank you for joining me today for the second webinar in the topic of detoxification. Today, I want to dive a little bit deeper into something that we are calling the detox disconnect. What we can miss about the role of detox beyond the obvious. In my community, there is a lot of interest in health and well-being and treatment of diseases and supplements. There's also interest in meditation and spirituality and personal growth. Today, I want to offer a roadmap through detoxification that shows that the journey really unites both, that understanding the role of the mind and understanding meditation, understanding our inner process beyond nutrients, beyond chemicals, beyond food, allows for better detoxification, allows us to have better health and longevity, while allowing also for a deep transformative effect. And in this sense, the survival paradox, which really comes from an understanding that our innate survival response, in this sense, our survival paradox, our survival response, which is innate in us, which really comes from a point of view of grasping, of holding and not letting go, really a profound spiritual principle, drives the sympathetic nervous system and ends up affecting not only chronic diseases, but also something like sepsis, as we've been showing in our research. So this is an example how a mental, mind, spiritual, innate response that is automated in us, that affects how we feel, how we experience our life, is affecting our health. So I want to use detox as a way to tie this as one journey. So maybe we can start quickly by a brief review of what we talked last time, and we will send you the recording of the last time. So we talked about the fact that detox is fundamental. We spend more time than anything else detoxifying. The main detoxification pathway is the breathing, and our exhalation, the letting go, the detox process, is twice as long as our inhalation, meaning we spend twice more time detoxifying than nourishing ourselves through breathing. Also, in order to nourish ourselves, we have to let go. In order to take a deep inhalation, we have to empty our lungs. We have to take a deep exhalation in order to take a deep inhalation. This process of detox as part of this cycle of detoxification and nourishment happens for us as a whole person and happens on a micro level all the way to our organs, tissues, and cells, and happens through the tens of trillions of cells, where there's an ongoing process along our membranes of nourishment taking in and detoxifying, putting out. And every cell has up to 1 million reactions. So we are this orchestra of tens of trillions of cells dancing through detoxification and nourishment and transformation in the process. And what's interesting is that both are happening in the same time. It's not that it's one directional only and then you do the other directions. And that's a very important principle. The spontaneous, instantaneous processing of things happening in the same time. And we will see today a bit how the detox and the nourishment reflect different aspects of time that we are experiencing in our life. So that's on one level when we look inside. And of course, it happens on the outside level, where we are exhaling, detoxifying our toxins through the air, through the breathing, it's carbon dioxide. And this serves as an inhalation for the plant kingdom through photosynthesis. And here is a relationship between us and our environment. And in this sense, we need to have a balance in this approach. When we don't have a balance, when we have things happening like global warming is an inflammation on global scale. So you can see how the processes within our body all the way to our cell levels are also reflected outwardly and vice versa. The other very basic principle of detoxification that we talked about last time is the concept of discharge and elimination. Where discharge is where we bring things from our cells, from our tissues, things that are hidden into the bloodstream. It's a process of bringing what is hidden to our awareness, to our consciousness. And then once it's in the circulation, we have to eliminate it. So we have a discharge process and we have an elimination process. And the key organ that does this is the liver. And this is really the role of phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification through the liver. I want to take a moment and show the diagram from last week and talk about it briefly. So when we look at the liver, we are looking at phase 1, where through processes of oxidation, reduction, etc., we talked about it in detail last week, we are packaging toxins that are fat soluble, that are inside, there are toxins that are inside the tissue, and we package them so they become evident to our system. And this intermediary stage creates very toxic metabolites that can overwhelm us, create oxidative stress. And then, so this is a discharge phase. And if we discharge too much, it can overwhelm us. And here comes the second phase of elimination. We package what becomes evident through different conjugation pathways, so we can eliminate it through the lungs and skin, through the gut, through our bowel movement, and through the urination. And each of these have not only physical aspects, but also have psychological aspects. So this is the role of the liver. What's fascinating for us from the perspective of today's webinar is that the liver is very commonly tied to removal of toxins, right? We talk a lot about the liver as the main organ for discharging, for getting rid of toxin. And really anything that came to our body and produced something we don't want that now we are getting rid of, this substance was produced in the past. So the liver helps us to eliminate past issues. And in this sense, discharge allows us to bring to our consciousness things from the past that we are ready to deal with, and elimination allows us to get rid of them. But if we look at the liver traditionally, the liver is really very much about planning and organization. If we look at the role of the liver in Chinese medicine, the liver is a great planner of the spring. It plans, it's a big general, what we're going to do in the summertime. So the liver has a strong forward movement. And indeed, it is a big factory of enzymes. Now, these processes are not done separately. There is an instantaneous role to getting rid of stuff from the past. The portal system brings dirty blood to the liver that the liver cleanses. And we got the hepatic artery that brings clean blood to the liver that is used for buildup of building blocks for our body. So past and present are happening simultaneously, and the liver is able to handle both of them in the same time, at the present time. And this is really our physiological adaptation to a deeper reality, where past, present, and future are happening instantaneously, all the time, right now. It's not that we clean the past and we build the future. No, the liver does it in the same time. And this is why the liver is the one that gets stuck. because it's hard for us to process this complexity of time, to hold it, to handle it. It's much easier for us to identify with separation of time. And that's why also many doctors tend to blame the liver, because it's hard for them to process the complexity of time within the liver. Once we do, we can get to the kidneys, to the place where time is seen as a much bigger unit of time, where past, present, and future are held all together, where multi-generational from the past, our genetics, and our ability to procreate and move into the future. In order to get there, we have to go through this abyss of handling the deeper understanding of time. And part of it is achieved through detoxification. So I wanted to a little bit look at this diagram in a little bit of a deeper way. So when we look at the liver, as you've seen in the diagram, there are a lot of nutrients that are needed for phase 1 and phase 2, different B vitamin, different methylation agents, glutathione. And the leading factor is that we don't want to discharge more than we can eliminate. And there are a lot of diets and recipes of how to really handle it. And really, there's a lot of good products and good regimens and helping the colon with colonics and coffee enemas, and people do different things, and infrared saunas and sweating, etc. But this is oversimplifying detox. The deep meaning of detox is missed. So really, our role is really in deciding how to eliminate what is being discharged. We can push the discharge. We can decide how much discharge we want to have. For example, if we do a more radical diet that is more catabolic, there will be more breakage of tissue. There will be more discharge into the bloodstream. But once it comes to our attention, we can decide how do we eliminate it, which organs are the ones that are going to emphasize the elimination, and also what methods we're going to do. And this is a place where spirituality, meditation, the role of the mind meets detoxification. So really, when what is suppressed comes to the surface, we have biochemical and physiological processes and systems that help us with this. We just talked about the liver. We need enough energy to process. So that's why if you look at some of my formulas, I use tonics as part of allowing enough energy to flow through detoxification without side effects. And we need to be aware that we are not only discharging chemicals and toxins and heavy metals and microplastics, we also have a process of emotional, psychological discharge. And some of it is multi-generational, where when we do our discharge deep enough and we truly let go of it, that's where the mind comes into play, we will see other generations in our family going through changes without talking about them. And I talk about it in my book in the 3 last chapters, the chapter about healing the scars of survival. I talk about the story, my story with the Holocaust and my mother. So you're welcome to really read more about it. So really, what do we detox? We detox any holding, anything that we hold. So I want a little bit emphasize it. We have this idea that when we detoxify, we get rid of toxins, which is true. But any habits, any frame of thinking that repeats itself, that restricts us, it can be positive thinking, but it restricts us where we don't see the endless possibilities, has a role in being discharged. It doesn't mean that positive thoughts and deeds will not arise, but they will arise from a place of more freedom, less confinement, less restriction. And that's the role of detoxification. And So there are certain places where we hide our toxin, biofilms, toxins of any kinds, cancer cells, emotions, traumas, all of them are being hidden, habits, constrictions. So when they come to the system, we get rid of them. And in this sense, I want to shed a little bit more light on something I recommend very often during the spring and the fall, and especially in the spring, which is a lemon olive oil drink, and we will send you the recipe. It's very easy to do. You take a lemon, you chip the two edges, two nipples on the sides, on the two ends, and you cut the lemon to multiple pieces. You take out the seeds, you put it in a blender with 1 cup of water and with 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And anyone can do it, with the exception, people have to be more careful, is people undergoing harsh treatment, especially chemotherapy, harsh drugs that already put a lot of pressure on the liver, and the difficult treatment like radiation therapy while you're doing it. And also people who have gallstones and very small stones that can block the common bile duct. It's okay to do it if your gallbladder is taken out, because there is still bile being produced by the liver. So when you drink it, the sour taste and the oil causes a contraction of the liver and gallbladder through different digestive enzymes and cholecystokinin and some other processes, which means we are discharging bile that has been stored in the gallbladder or in the liver, and it comes into the system. And then it flows into the gut, into the small intestine, just on the side of the pancreas. And then it goes down. Now, bile can be reabsorbed, and while it's being reabsorbed, it can also catch some toxins in the gut and bring them in. We prevent the reabsorption by the ability of the pectin, of the fiber of the lemon, which is a high molecular pectin. It's not modified citrus pectin. It has an affinity to fat-soluble toxins and to bile. It will bind it, and it will eliminate it through the gut. And that's why we do it either early in the morning, when the digestive system is completely empty, or we do it at night a few hours after we eat. So here we see a simple drink that combines discharge and elimination in a mild way. And classically, it's done in the spring. In my personal experience, I used to go on long retreats of 8 to 12 weeks during the winter. This was a time where I had the time to do this drink. And it had a profound health effect on me, even if it wasn't in the ideal season. The reason is that my mind and my being was in a letting go process of work, of responsibility, and meditating day and night for weeks with no strict structure allowed me the freedom to create change, and it had a profound health effect on myself. So that's an example shedding a little bit more light on lemon olive oil drink. For phase 1 and 2, you want to make sure you have enough nutrients, enough minerals, enough B vitamins, and certain herbs and botanicals that support the herbs, that supports the liver discharge and support elimination, and provide the body enough energy and enough detoxification. And medicinal mushrooms that have a unique quality to absorb toxin and regulate the immune response. So I want to now dive a little bit deeper into the journey of elimination, because it's much deeper and bigger than just eliminating something. And that's where meditation can transform detoxification. Because meditation is not what we experience. One of my most favorite saying, meditation is not what you experience. Meditation is your relationship with what you experience, your relationship with what surfaces. And detox is a great example of it. So you discharge into the system, which means things come to your awareness from your subconscious, if these are things that have been buried, or if it's insight from your unconscious, And then what do you do with it? How do you eliminate it? So there are different levels of physiological elimination that correlate to different levels of meditation and spiritual development. So I want to show you the diagram from my book that reflects this. Here we have, in day-to-day life, we have one thought chasing another thought with no gap between the thoughts. We don't have enough time to recognize the gap between the thoughts. One thought leads to the other, leads to the other. Like you may be listening to me and then you have a thought about it and it takes another thought and you are lost in your thoughts. And then we slow down the process through our posture, through our breathing, through a certain focus on one thing, so distractions fall away and we become more mindful. So mindful slows things down. And when we become more mindful, and we start recognizing the space, the gap between the thoughts, this non-conceptual gap, that's where things from the inside start to surface. From our subconscious, emotions, traumas, toxins, that's the inner psychological, spiritual, emotional mind detoxification, discharge. And if we really let go and we connect with our deep inside, with the big knowing, with the wisdom, not the conceptual knowing, we connect with the universal unconsciousness, with basic space from a term of Buddhism. And then we experience everything as space. So this process of meditation is very much reflected as a discharge of what comes out, and the elimination through our relationship with our meditation experience. In meditation and in different spiritual methods, there is overemphasis on discharge. There is overemphasis on the experience. I had a great meditation. I felt so blissful. I had a terrible meditation. I was so restless and I couldn't see it and I had bad thoughts come up. These are all discharged, temporary, impermanent experiences. What did you do with them? Did you push them away? Did you try to just throw them away and just eliminate them, get rid of them, so then another layer comes up? Did you accept them? Did you use the energy to transform them? Did you find the freedom within them? All of these are different levels of meditation. But the reason why I'm bringing it up now is because every step that I described correlates to a certain body system, organ, physiological process. And here lies the secret for the door of infinite healing potential. When we connect the meditative mind process with our body, with our somatic structure, with what we were given, both to maintain our health and to transform our health, that's where the magic happens. And for example, Chinese medicine has a very elaborate discussion about it, where it talks about the maintenance system, where we maintain things through the 12 channels. Maintain things means we make sure that we nourish the cells, what the cells want, and we get rid of the toxins. And this is really our biological life, our biological longevity. And then we have an evolutionary system where we use the extra channels, the central channels and the 2 channels on both sides, and a few more channels that are called miraculous channels, extraordinary channels, in order to use our life to grow, to transform, to experience an evolutionary approach. So it's interesting how Chinese medicine is aware of it and emphasizes it. So looking at this and understanding this, we can look at the detox process and people who focus on detox process. So for example, some people who do detoxification very frequently and ongoingly are people who can be purists. They often can be fundamental people, those who follow very strict diets, or religiously fundamental, or have a tight belief system, very judgmental. And they have to engage in detoxification because they have a very small bandwidth of comfort zone. Their comfort zone is very narrow, it's very confined. And anything outside their comfort zone, when it comes to diet, when it comes to belief system, when it comes to lifestyle, becomes toxic for them. And they have to get rid of it. And part of our geopolitical situation, where there's so much divisiveness and divisions into different camps, emphasizes this and enhances this. As a result, we see generalized inflammation as a reactivity of the sympathetic system. Inwardly as inflammation, outwardly as tension in the world, global warming. And what happens is that it creates reactivity. Reactivity, not only from the point of view of reactivity emotionally or from a point of view of belief system, but reactivity of our physiology. For example, we become sensitive to things that we were not sensitive to before. So multiple allergies, and for example, multiple chemical sensitivity, and MCA, mast cell activation. We become activated and become allergic to things almost instantaneously. And maybe to add one more word about it, if we look at people who have MCA, multiple mast cell activation, which often correlate with multiple chemical sensitivities, they already will tell you in advance, I'm going to react to it, before they tried something. Why? Because they reacted to it in the past. Their detoxification is not only to change their system so they can tolerate it, but to change their mind so they are not holding to the belief system and the habit that they're going to react to something. And this is part of the elimination that is part of a state of mind. So we live in this very narrow confined space where very little is acceptable. And now we want to move to a place where we can accept more. And this is a basic shift from contraction, ego-driven, opinion-driven, narrow-minded contraction and constriction, to a place of vastness, to a place of increased freedom. And this can be done gradually, or sometimes it happens instantaneously, especially in the realm of meditation and spirituality. The fundamental shift that allows this to happen is a shift from detoxification as getting rid of something which is not good to acceptance. And we have training systems in our body that helps us to handle more things that will not create a survival response crisis. So this is not theory. This is translated into our energetic systems, into our energy production system. When we feel that we can accept things, that we are open, we feel safe, we feel spacious, the mitochondria has time to produce energy very efficiently, 36 ATP from one molecule of glucose. When we feel that we're in crisis, that we're in a survival mode, we shift to glycolysis. We can produce energy 100 times faster, but at a cost of free radical and lactic acid and cellular damage, etc. And the quintessence of this condition is our immune dysregulation and inflammatory dysregulation in sepsis. In sepsis, patients don't get severely sick and die from the infection. They get sick and die from the response to the infection, from the survival response. That's why when we remove galectin-3, we are seeing in our porcine model that we are just shutting down the sepsis process. because we are addressing this fundamental survival response. So in our body, on an ongoing basis, we have the hormesis effect, the effect of balancing out through exposing the body to small stressors, like cold shower, like a little bit of toxin that the body has to deal with, or a little bit of infection, right? For example, we know that children who as toddlers get exposed to more bacteria and viruses, they go to a kindergarten, have less asthma than those who don't. Why? Because their immune system got better trained. So in this sense, the hormesis effect, the stress that the body is being put, allows the body to train and mature and have greater tolerability. The same process happens in detoxification. In detoxification, when toxins come to our system through discharge, we want to engage in detoxification in order to create space. We need to create space in order to transform and regenerate. So our ability to let go, to get rid of things and create space is essential for our growth and nourishment, just like we already mentioned. If we can't take a deep inhalation unless we were able to take a deep exhalation. So some people have a problem in taking a deep inhalation. They have difficulty in nourishing themselves and sometimes in nourishing others. And some people cannot take a deep exhalation. They cannot completely let go for different reasons. It can be certain fear and trauma that somebody feels, I can't let go, it's not safe for me. Or it can be certain toxins or certain issues from different realms. But that's an example of how we breathe, how we inhale and exhale, reflecting our state of health and our state of mind. So the first basic step is a shift from detox, discharge, and elimination to acceptance. Because when we accept, there is less to eliminate. And that's where meditation and contemplation become a very important tool. That's the basic shift from the liver, gallbladder, and from the elimination organs to the heart. Because the heart's most amazing quality is not only, and not necessarily, its ability to generate unconditional love and compassion. That's an outcome. The heart's real secret is its ability to accept everything. The heart accepts everything that comes to it, any blood from anywhere. So this quality of openness, of acceptance, is what allows the blood to come into the heart, to get transformed in the lungs through exhalation and inhalation, and then to give nourishment to the whole body without discrimination. This quality of acceptance is the shift of detoxification. The moment we accept, we can forgive. And forgiveness is essential for letting go. And letting go is the ultimate elimination. And this is why when we connect with our heart somatically in meditation, we are connecting our being, our heart mind, with a physiological system that is built to accept, to transform, and to deliver healing and freedom. And this is really the big secret of open heart medicine. But today, we are looking at it from the doorway of the detoxification. And the spring is specifically suitable for this. because the spring is a season where we come from contraction, from short days and long nights, from cold, contracting, freezing weather when we sit inside, into openness. So in certain weather system, it's not as evident. I just came back from Hawaii where there is no real winter. But people in the East Coast or in the Midwest where it's very cold, you have the trees and they are bare. They look dead. There are no leaves. And then one day, and suddenly the leaves come out. Suddenly, there is life, there is openness. And this shift, this openness, reflects a deeper level of detox that allows everything to blossom and bloom and come to fruition during the summer. We are moving from a contracted, ego-based contraction to a boundless, infinite possibility through this openness. So I want to stop here. And next time I will go into deeper explanation about the process from a mind point of view and what we do with the openness, what we do with the acceptance, how we work with it. And also we'll integrate a little bit of meditation to experience it on a physiological level. Before we end, I want to mention one word about the Hawaii retreat. For those who are considering to come, don't miss the opportunity if you are considering coming. There is a certain recipe of the healing environment, the place, the big island of Hawaii, which is so healing, and especially the Puako area. And the conditions, the air, and the combination of specific detox foods and exercises and breathing and yoga and intense meditation and hands-on healing that I do on everybody, probably a few times a day, that really creates a transformation and change. And this year, I'm ending the retreat only at 5 p.m., not at noon. So it's a whole day on the fourth day. And almost everybody is staying one day. So anyway, for those who stayed last year, we met early in the morning and meditated again to help people in the process. But this year I arranged with the hotel and they're keeping the room for us. And we're going to meet back in the room for 2-3 hours, an extra day, to allow people to continue the process and get a little bit of a taste of the advanced retreat. And the reason why I recommend people to come is because as part of impermanence and changeability, I'm not sure that such a thing will happen again very soon. So if you are thinking about coming to Hawaii, this is your year to come. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to our next webinar. Be well.